Okay, so my name is François L'Espérance. I'm the head of technical support here for Kinghome, Canada. In today's presentation, we're going to talk about the Ductless mini split, the one-to-one system. So let's begin by saying a little bit of who we are. So Kinghome is the premium brand from Guri, China, located in Zhuhai. We have an headquarter in Ontario located in Vaughan, and also we have an office located in Montreal where I have the training lab. And so we have all those equipments up and running so we can perform an amount of tests. So whenever you have some feedback from the field, it's always good to hear back from you guys, so I can perform more tests and more verification about the unit of what you guys having on field. So it's always good to hear back from you. So that's the biggest purpose here for the training, also to have your feedback. Today we're gonna review we're gonna do a product overview about the new technology, some key feature of what's going on with the new units coming on with the new refrigerant R32 system. We're gonna talk about installation tips and tricks for the outdoor-indoor unit. We're going to talk about the startup of those units, how to manage with the Kinghome Plus app, and we're going to talk about maintenance and repair. I have a bunch of diagram, list of error code, and we can discuss about how to troubleshoot this unit. So let's start with the product overview. At Kinghome, we have three families. The first one, the entry level, is the Charmo series. You can identify the Charmo series by looking at the model number, and you can see the 19 numbers located inside of it, saying it's a 19.5 SEER 2 unit. This unit has a one-to-one match from 9,000 BTU to 36,000 BTU and heating ambient temperature range of minus 25 to 24 degrees Celsius. A cooling operation range from minus 18 to 48 degrees Celsius. Moving forward with the R32 product, this unit will keep the same name. It will be up to 20.5 SEER2 ratings. We will keep the same capacity and same heating and cooling operation range. Moving to the middle hand product, the Polar series. Right now for the R14A product, this is a product up to 25 SEER2 ratings, and you can identify it in the model number with the 25 inside the model number. Available from 9K to 24K. This unit will operate in heating from minus 30 to 30 degrees Celsius, and in cooling operation range of minus 29 to 50 degrees Celsius. So that's the kind of unit that you want to use if you have to do like a server room, low ambient cooling operation. Doesn't have to have optional kits. It's already good to go at minus 29 in cooling mode. Moving forward with the R32 series, this unit will be up to 26 SEER2, same capacity, same operation range. We have a new member in the middle hand family. It's called the Clevia. This is a R32 product. It will be up to 25 SEER2 unit. We're going to have the same heating and cooling operation range, same capacity matching, 9 to 24,000 BTU. But this one, as a particularity, you have an optional mini ERV that you can add to the unit. So the unit can be paired with this mini HRV, and so you have the ability to bring fresh air in the room where this head is installed. The high-end model, the Sapphire model, currently with the R14A, you can identify it by looking at the model number, seeing the 3D6 inside of it. So this unit is a 27 SEER2 unit. You can have a one-to-one capacity match from 9,000 BTU to 24,000 BTU. It's a minus 30 operation to 24 in heating temperature range. In cooling operation temperature range, it go at minus 18 to 54 degrees Celsius. Moving to the R2D2 product, it will be the name changed will be a Harry, and this unit is up to 29 SEER2. Available capacity from 9,000 BTU to 24,000 BTU. And the heating operation range slightly change a little bit from minus 30 to 30 degrees Celsius. And the cooling operation range also changed to be able to do some low ambient cooling operation also. So minus 29 to 50 degrees Celsius. This unit is the first one to be equipped with the new ultra high speed compressor, brand new on the market. It's made by Green. It's been like 5 years of research and development to comes up with this compressor. This compressor can operate with maximum frequency of 160 hertz. So in comparison with other high frequency model, most of them stopping, well, the maximum frequency is 120 hertz. So this is where the compressor gain more accurate performance and we can perform better. And so this is much a good add to the series to have this new compressor out on the market. With Ductless series, we have a null match one-to-one capability, saying right now with the R14A product, we use the Polar mid-tier outdoor unit, matching with a one-to-one match about with high head, floor ceiling unit, ducted unit, or cassette unit. So those one-to-one match can be performed only with the mid-tier Polar outdoor unit right now. When we will change it to R2D2 now, because we add the low ambient performance to the Harry model, now we have three different kind of condensing unit that can match these one-to-one products. So Polar, Clivia, or Harry. um, the Harry model has the AI 2.0 technology inside of it. So this is a brand new kind of electronic board who will manage the energy of the systems, will learn how to perform over time, and will find a way to save more energy per year. Also, we'll be able to learn to be comfortable. So by learning the combination of the ambient temperature, the humidity, the room size, and so other factors such as the sunlight or even like the number of people in the room. So the algorithm will do all these kind of calculation to manage the temperature control and the energy management to the better way. So um, this is the kind of new technology this unit will bring on uh, like early next year. Another feature that has been had is an adjustable display light and buzzer. So regarding what we have already now about the LED display, it can be only on or off. So now there will be like a dimmer attached to it, so you can barely see the numbers if you want to, or it can be very bright. So and also two adjustable buzzer mode. So instead of just using the small beep, well, now it can be changed uh, to uh, to cut it off completely if needed. With the Clivia series, talking about the Mini ERV earlier, uh, this is where an example of what this option can do. So basically, what we want to do is do some air exchange in the room. So we're gonna take an amount of air from the room, some stale air. We gotta push it outside, and at the same time, we gotta take some fresh air from outside and put it in inside the room. Um, the system is equipped with a heat exchanger. So there's a small total heat exchanger inside of this option, this mini ERV, and then with another blower, we'll be able to push some fresh air in the room. And so because it's matched with the high wall, well, the high wall will be also interconnected with the system. So it will perform as it needed regarding the room temperature. So for example, here in winter time, if you take a minus 12 degrees Celsius temperature, we're gonna pass it through the heat recovery core. And because it's 21 in the house, for example, we gotta mix the temperature, but not the air. The air is directly going outside and directly going inside. But inside that cube, we will exchange temperature. So the supply air will be at 14 degrees Celsius. And so the systems will also know that and will perform as it could to as it's supposed to be to bring the temperature or to keep the temperature at 21 in a house. So we bring in more um, better, so fresh air in the room and also maintain a good temperature. The system is also equipped with a cleaning process. So this is something, a mode that you can launch whenever you do some maintenance on the systems, or if you have a call from your customer saying, oh, I have some bad odor, I have some problem with the systems. What can I do? So we can launch this function to clean the coil. So let's focus here on the heat pump systems, cooling and heating unit. We will have 5 steps to achieve this cleaning session. So the first step is to humidify the coil. So the systems will go in cooling mode or in dehumidifier mode to bring the coil to have a lot of condensation on it. Then the second step will be to go and freeze that water. So what it's going to do is it will push out, it will trap all the dust and the dirt on the coil. The next step will be to do to achieve a fast defrosting. So now the unit will change from cooling to heating mode, and we're gonna heat up the coil to make sure all the ice will melt and every dust and dirt will fall down into the drain pan. The step after is to drying that coil. So we will still bring in some warmer temperature to that coil and start to keep it dry, completely dry, making sure it's clean. And then the last step will be to do some sterilization. So the heating point of that coil will be rise up to 50 to 55 degrees Celsius. So it will be red hot for a couple of minutes, making sure that will kill any bacteria, make sure we don't have mold staying there. Everything will be dry also. So next time when the systems will go back to its normal operation, the air flowing through that coil will be cleaner. Also, another feature is they change about the louver angle, and the louver position that we can select with the unit. So the blower and the louver matched together. Uh, we can do some long distance air supply, so we can reach out 15.5 meters now, and the volume is increased by 10%, and the wide angle of the air oscillation is also increased. This will give us the ability to avoid to have direct air on the skin or on the people in that room. So, for example, you can select one mode that you will push the air across the ceiling. Just make it like the farthest you can push the air before it drops down. Or another option is to push a certain amount of hair above across the ceiling and another portion directly on the floor. So that will have some effect to create a bubble inside that room. So the temperature will drop very quickly, and you still avoid to have some direct air directly on the skin. Also, this unit is very low on noise, so 35 decibel, and it's also equipped with now 7 fan speeds. So we had the ability to do some quiet operation. Quiet operation will bring down the unit to 19 decibel only. So, for example, when the unit is installed in a bedroom, well, at that point, when you go into quiet operation during night, you will barely hear the unit. It's very, very quiet. We also have the ability to do eye field mode. This is something we can already do with the R410A product. Then the eye field, what it's going to do is you're going to use the remote sensor instead of using the return air sensor located inside the unit. So sometimes it's good to um, feel the temperature directly on where is the sensor on where is the remote control. So basically, when you activate this mode, the sensor needs to be in the line of sight with the unit to communicate the temperature. And so every 3 minutes, the remote will send out information to the head saying, telling like what is the temperature right now on the remote controller. If after 10 consecutive minutes the transmission is cut, well, the unit will just go by default and take the return hair sensor as a is default reading.
Francois, can I just pause for 1 second?
Yes.
Ashley from Ottawa, can I get you to mute your mic?
Yep.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, guys, do you have any questions so far for this kind of feature? We can continue to the next step. So outdoor and indoor unit installation. Whenever you have some questions, guys, don't feel free to you can interrupt me. We can have a chat about it. No problem at all. So pre-installation safety, it's just good to keep in mind that sometimes just before you do some unit replacement or a new installation, to just keep make sure your system will be staying keep. So if you reuse, for example, the refrigerant line already in place, make sure you can you take a look at it, or you make sure there's no blockage or there's no dirt inside of it or excess amount of humidity. So you need to keep these pipe clean. And so make sure you will check also the nameplate on the unit, making sure you will not, if you had to add more refrigerant, for example, on a system, to not mix those refrigerant. Moving forward next year, we will face multiple kind of refrigerant on the market at the same time. So we will be able to use the R410A, and most of the unit will be R32, and we will have also R454B available. So this is something that you guys need to pay a little bit more attention. Just looking at the nameplate, make sure you are working with the right refrigerant. So when we're going to install, or if you guys going to do a call on a outdoor unit, it's pretty much important just to keep in mind what is the clearance all around the unit. Make sure the unit getting enough air and can perform freely, so there's no blockage or there's no restriction regarding the clearance all around the unit. One's really important is what is going on in front of the unit. So we need at least a minimum of 36 inches in front of the unit, making sure we don't have any recirculation of air, so we will not push out some hot air and bring it back to the condensing unit again. So that this is the most important one. And above the unit, we ask to have a minimum of 20 inches for maintenance purpose. We on the Ductless systems, we have to remove the top panel to gain access to be able to make good maintenance or troubleshootings, whatever. So 20 inches above the unit, it's a bare minimum. Also, because those systems are heat pump system and they will run all winter long, it's good to have the unit installed above the snowfall level, because we don't want to make an obstruction or a restriction due to an accumulation of ice or snow in front of the unit or in the coil directly. Also, if you do a repair on a leak and you have to redo the flare connection, make sure you will use a torque wrench to do your connection, and making sure you will not face another leak again because the connection is too weak. Here on this slide, I brought some information to your attention. This is the submetal sheet for the Ductless systems available on kinghomecanada.com. And when you look at first for the model number, you can see here the 19 in the model number. So this is the Charmo series. If you look at this one, you will see the 25, meaning it's the Polar series. And the last one, because it's a 3D6 in the model number, so we know it's a Sapphire model. When we take a look at those information, it's good to know like what is the operation range of the unit and what can we do and what can we not do to with the unit. For example, for the maximum refrigeration uh, PEM plant. So regarding the Charmo, the maximum pipe length that you can go is 65 feet. Same thing for the Pular, and looking at the Sapphire, it's 100 feet. So there's a lot of information here that you can look for whenever you have a call to do or a replacement to do or something that requires a little bit more information. You can always refer to these kind of submittal sheet. For your indoor installation, same thing, we need some clearance all around the unit, about 6 inches. It's always the best. If you have less than 6 inches above the unit where the return air is proceeding, well, the systems will work for sure, but the performance can be reduced. So the target here is always to have 6 inches. When it's less than that, for example, we can go maybe as low as 3 inches. Well, just keep in mind that the airflow or the overall performance of the systems will be affected. Also, in front of the unit, because the blower motor is quite strong. We have a good throw for the air supply on these units. We need a minimum clearance of 10 feet just in front of the unit, because if it's less than that, sometimes you can take again the same air and going into performance issue or maybe short cycling or some kind of stuff that we want to avoid. Again, we have a flare connection behind that head. So again, the torque wrench, your flare connection is pretty important to do it well. Make sure you don't have, you will not face a leak a year after. So just a quick reminder to what are the steps to do a good flare connection. First thing first, having a good pipe cutter, guys. This is really important. Don't be afraid to change your blade. Um, what we want to see is a perfect 90-degree cut when you will cut the copper tube. Um, when you use the same blade for a couple of months or maybe a year, or maybe you never changed that blade before, what is going to happen is you have to apply more pressure. You have to squeeze it a little bit harder, and what it can happen to that pipe is you will create an oval shape. You will create that small oval shape, and that can affect the performance of the sealing. Um, when you will do your connection to the valve. So having a good blade, a good pipe cutter is the first step to do a good flare connection. Next step will be to remove the inside portion of that pipe. So using your rimmer, you will need to deburr the inside portion of it. Make sure you don't have any kind of uh, like this inner portion here is blocking or making a bad sealing position for on the valve directly. So you need to remove this inner portion when you do a flare connection. Next step is to, well, for sure, insert your flare nut on the pipe, and then install your flaring tool. There's multiple kind of flaring tool now on the market. Navac has a good automatic one. I still use my Yellow Jacket one with a clutch exactly like this, and it's always doing a great job. Don't forget also when the flare is done to just give a look. Take times to just take a good look of what your flare looks like. If the flare nut is sliding easily to the end, uh, and you don't hit the threads also on the inner portion of the flare nuts, take a look at the portion here, the 45-degree angle that you've just created. Make sure there's no scratch. There's nothing here that can cause you a leak. You can also use a flaring gauge to make sure the circumference of that pipe is big enough or too big sometimes. Because if it's too big, well, the portion where the valve is sitting, where the copper is sitting on that valve is reduced. So sometimes when the pipe is moving, because you can have some vibration coming from the compressor, you can have uh, temperature change because the copper will react to hot temperature, cold temperature. This is a normal stuff happening where the cup can expand or contract due to temperature change. So this is really important, guys, to apply the right pressure when you will do your connection. Make sure you use a torque wrench to apply the right amount of pressure, and that will save you to go a year after and redo all the connections because you have a leak. When the connection is made, now it's time for pressure testing. Doesn't have to be like a very large pressure test, just to make sure you don't have a big leak on your systems right now before you're trying to pull out a vacuum. You can use soap also to on your flare nut to make sure you catch if you have leaks, if bubbles appear. And also, you have to let this soap on your flare connection for around 15 minutes to make sure the soap will do is effect, and you can catch micro leaks, micro bubbles if you leave it enough long. After when it's done, you will put out a vacuum on the systems. That's the most important part. Make sure you remove all the air and humidity inside the system. To make a right measurement, you will use a micron gauge to do that. And the micron gauge is the one that will tell you if you have a leak in your systems or if you still have humidity in your system. So basically, what we're gonna do is start the vacuum pump maybe for 10, 15 minutes, and then wait till you reach out 500 microns. When it's done, stop the pump and look at your micron gauge, what you have to say. If the microns just increase and going up, 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 and never stop, never being stable at any point, this is because you have a leak somewhere. You have a leak in your line set, you have a leak at your flare nut, you have a leak somewhere that you must find it out before you open the valve and bring the refrigerant in. If you bring the micron to 500 and then you stop the pump and the uh, the micron gauge numbers is stable, but between 1,000 and 2,000 micron, that's saying that you have a system tight, but you still have moisture, you still have humidity inside your pipe set. So maybe you will have to change your the oil of your vacuum pump because that's the oil that's having the capacity to catch moisture. And so you will just continue your vacuum after that, And when you hit 500 and you're stable between 500 and 1,000, that's mean your system is tight and dry. Sometimes when you will do some retrofit or you will work on a system, you might see some greenish or bluish oil coming out from the system. When you see that, it's bad. It's really, really bad. That's mean the systems operate with humidity inside of it. So you have an extra amount of moisture, refrigerant, or the systems doesn't like moisture. It needs to be removed properly by the vacuum pump. But when it's happened, you can see a discoloration now of the oil because the humidity and the copper, the inner portion of the pipe, do some oxide will oxidize, and then that will affect the color of the oil. And this oil now can be a little bit more sticky, and that can clog capillary tube, that can clog EEVs, and also the worst part of it, so it can affect also the protection, the protective coating on the winding of the compressor. So you can have a ground compressor in a couple of years, so maybe 2 3 years after this unit was installed, maybe the compressor was burned out. So if you have to do a retrofit or you are going to change a unit, you find out these kind of discoloration inside the copper tube. Well, you need to make it clean again. Back in the day, we were using RX11 to do that. Now, on the market, there's some tools to make it happen. I know Ilmore having a great tools to clean the copper pipe like that and make it perfect. So just be aware of what's available on the market and make sure the next systems, the next installation you will have to do, you will not have this problem or this amount of moisture inside the system. When it comes to the inner portion, well, now we're talking about the drain. The drain is really important to make it well the first time. Even when you do some maintenance on the unit, make sure you test out the drain properly. You have no P-traps, you have a constant slope, and you avoid counter slope. Sometimes when you tested out the drain and you can barely have some water staying in the pan for too much long, that can create some issue because all the dust and the dirt's coming in from the filter or on the coil will be mixed with water that will create some kind of slime and that will eventually block the drain pipe somewhere. So it needs to have a constant slope, needs to be as clean as possible and as dry as possible when it's not in use. So if you have any kind of wiggling like this on your drain pipe, that can cause some water overflow from the head and then causing some damage and some issue for your customer. So make sure the drain is correct and you have tested out properly. On the electrical portion of the system, for a ductless unit like that, it's pretty easy. It's pretty like plug and play. Um, all you need to have is from the panel, the electrical panel, bring the power to the outdoor unit. So on L1, L2, and then you will have three terminal going from the outdoor unit to the indoor unit. And then you will have to connect your terminal 1, 2, 3 to the same terminal 1, 2, 3 on the inner portion. So it's always recommended to use a multi-strand copper wire to do your connection between the indoor heads and the outdoor unit. And so this wire needs to be 600-volt insulated, PVC coated, sunlight resistance, because you want to make sure the communication cable between those two units will be in shape for the rest of the utility, the life of the utility of the unit. So it's very important to use a good wire. Make sure your connections are good also, and we need to well, talking about the communication, I can explain for you real quick how it's work. So the outdoor board located here will send out the communication to the inner board here on the indoor unit. So the terminal number 2 here is your communication line. The signal will be sent out by the terminal number 2, received here on the inner portion, and also transmitted back to the outdoor unit by the terminal number 1. So terminal number 1 will receive the information. So it will be a back and forth between number 1 and number 2. So both terminals here are used for your communication. So whenever you have some issue with the communication wire, you have to look up at those two terminals, make sure the connection is good, and also make sure you have the proper voltage. So to check very quickly what is the proper voltage to this kind of problem, it's to make sure you unplug the wire on terminal 1 and 2, and with your multimeter, you will measure if you have 56 volt DC on directly on the board from the outdoor unit. If you have 56-volt DC from directly on the screw on the pin here on the board, well, that's mean you have a good board, and then you must look for your connection on your wire. Make sure you don't have any wires to ground, or maybe a bad continuity in your wire. So any questions on the installation part of the unit?
You said 56 volts DC between which wires?
Between terminal 1 and terminal 2 at the outdoor unit. That will be the same thing if you're working on a 120-volt system. So terminal 2 and terminal 1 still your communication cable. You have to unplug the wire and just with your multimeter measure on the terminals if you have 56 volts. So about the startup, every product line with when we're talking about iWall system is built in with the Wi-Fi capability. So when you do a startup, or if you're going to do a service call at the with your client, and you notice that it doesn't have the Kinghome Plus app, it's always good to set up with your client the application. This is very user friendly, and so you have to download the app real quick and create an account, and make sure your system is connected on the home Wi-Fi at 2.4 gigahertz. And so when it's done, the systems will try to find out what systems is available near to it. So you will have this blue kind of portion, like the button here, like will appear when the unit is discovered. So you can click on that. Then you will have the system hook on the customer's account, and then you can open it and play with the operation mode. So changing from cooling, heating, dehumidifier. But the thing that is really nice is when you're trying to adjust the angle of the louver or the fan speed, you have a little bit more options. And also, if the homeowner asks you how to do a programmation to program, put in a timer on, timer off option on his air conditioner. Well, by using the app, it's the most easiest way to achieve it. Uh, Sometimes when using only just the remote, it's difficult. It's difficult to get through and having the right programmation. But now with the application, it's very user friendly. So when you have to just make a quick check after you have done an installation or a repair on a systems and it's time to test it out, just make sure you take a minute to walk around the unit, make sure everything is securely installed. You have done your proper leak test and vacuum. You have checked the insulation on each pipes, because for ductless system, the liquid line and the suction line needs to be insulated always. So making sure you don't have a gap in your insulation that can cause some condensation and leaks. You have tested out the drain as well, make sure everything is okay. You have checked the power supply in accordance with the nameplate, so we will not run into some sort of electrical problems in a couple of years from now. The system is also properly grounded. So this is very important because we are using a lot of communication line with those units. So between the outdoor and indoor unit, but also directly at the outdoor unit, there's a bunch of communication between everything. So it needs to be grounded to make sure the communication can flow uh, without any restriction. Uh, Making sure also you don't have any obstruction in the air inlet, air outlet, don't have an excess of dust somewhere. So if a coil is very dirty, you have cleaned it up with water. It's good enough. And also making sure your suction valve and liquid valve are fully open. When you will do some test, making sure you will test every mode. So heating, cooling, dehumidifier, the fan, testing all the speed of the fan, make sure all the speed is working properly. And just a small reminder that depends on the indoor temperature, ambient temperature. If it's below what the remote can go on, because the remote is stopped at 16 degrees Celsius, you will not be able to start the cooling at that point. But whenever the room temperature is okay, if it's over 16, well, you will be able to test pretty much all the modes and all the settings. So maintenance and repair. I have for you here a bunch of diagrams that we will look together to explain to you what looks like the refrigeration circuit for a ductless system. So we start here at the compressor. You have the discharge line directly here, and the discharge line is connected directly to the four-way valve. The four-way valve is the device that will change the inner portion of it to make it go in cooling mode or in heating mode. So for this example, we're going to stay in cooling mode. So then this four-way valve will be de-energized in cooling mode. So the U-bend heater portion will stay on this side of the four-way valve. So our discharge line will go through that four-way valve going out here on the third pipe and going directly to the condensing unit. So on the condenser. The condenser will do its job and push out all the temperature of the refrigerant, changing its state from vapor to liquid. So on the other side here, we have liquid refrigerant, high pressure liquid refrigerant that will push through a strainer to protect the capillary tube. And then the capillary tube will be our metering device. So basically, the biggest difference between ductless and central unit is in central unit, for example, with our Ultranex series, the TXV is located at the indoor coil, so the metering device is located here. Now for ductless, all the metering devices are located at the outdoor unit. So this is why this portion here, so the liquid pipe needs to be insulated because you will have low pressure on that part of the capillary tube. So it can start to have some condensation on it. So we have a liquid state, low pressure here right after the capillary tube. Again, we hit another strainer to protect the systems both way. And then we will send out the amount of liquid refrigerant to the evaporator. Again, the evaporator will do its job. It will gain some heat. So the refrigerant will gain heat here. And then on the other side, it's supposed to have changed states to gas, low pressure gas refrigerant. We will have the suction line here to make sure our superheat will be completed. And then it's go back to the four-way valve going into the inner portion here. There's a U-bend, and the tube in the middle of the four-way valve is always a through suction line. So this part here going back to the compressor is always a through suction line. We will pass by an accumulator right here. The accumulator is a small cylinder stick to the compressor shell. It's here to protect the compressor, avoid to have liquid strike at the base of the compressor. We are using a twin rotary compressor for every system, so any kind of liquid inside that base will damage the compressor for sure. We can look now at the Polar series. So what is the difference between the M3 tier level and the mid-tier level? So you gotta notice it very quickly is we have now an electronic expansion valve adding to the system. So yes, the compressor is an inverter system. It will ramp up, ramp down to match the right capacity for the systems. But also by doing this, we will have, for example, in cooling mode, we still have our liquid state right here. And so the electronic expansion valve will modulate and will measure the amount of liquid that we need to send to the evaporator. So now we're mostly we're more accurate with the capacity of the system. So this electronic expansion valve here will just move up and down, or will open and close to make sure the amount of liquid to the evaporator is okay. If we look at the I-tier model now, the Sapphire model, where now we had another parts to the system. So we still have our strainer, capillary tube, another strainer here. We still have an electronic expansion valve, but in between those two, we had an intercooler. This is such like a cylinder that we will use to make sure we will have 100% liquid state refrigerant when we will feed our electronic expansion valve. So instead of having maybe some flash gas, a portion of liquid and vapor, now with the Sapphire model, we have 100% liquid line feeding the electronic expansion valve. The upper portion of it will be in vapor. So whenever the compressor needs to upgrade its compression ratio, we can send out a small amount of vapor here to help out the compressor to increase its compression ratio. So the thing is, the electronic expansion valve will always send the right amount of liquid to the evaporator. If we looked at the, yeah, sorry, do you have a question?
Please mute your microphones.
Okay. Looking at the error code, well, Kinghome is always using the same kind of error code, even it's for central unit or for Ductless. E1 and E3 are related to pressure switch. And so E1 is high pressure switch protection. E3 is a low pressure switch protection. Maybe you will not find out a pressure switch each time. It's not on every system. It's really depend of the amount of refrigerant, the total amount of refrigerant on the systems before they decide to add a pressure switch or not. But most systems have those, so it's always a good thing to know, like when you going into E3 error, for example, just make sure your switch is normally closed, or if it's open, that's because it is open on a low pressure. But if it's closed, make sure you have 5-volt DC on the output on the electronic board. E4 is a high discharge temperature protection of the compressor. So meaning we have a sensor on the discharge line here to protect the compressor if it's going to be very hot, or if you have a clogged refrigerant line, well, the pressure will increase and the temperature will increase. So the E4 can pop up to protect the system. E5 is related to overcurrent protection. So whenever the amperage is really, really high on the system, for example, because you have a stock compressor and or you have some problems with the drive board, well, the E5 will tell you that you have a high amperage problem. E6 is the most common communication malfunction error. That's the one we just told to look at the terminal 1 and terminal 2. So you are looking for 56-volt DC out on those terminal at the outdoor unit. If you don't have the 56-volt DC steady on the terminal 1 and 2, that's just because your outdoor board is not communicating. C5, it's a problem of when you do a replacement of a electronic board, you have a blue jumper cap that you need to keep from the old board and reinstall into the new board. So when we order parts from the factory regarding like the control board for a system, they will send it out blank. So it needs to have this jumper cap to make the identification of what is the system. So you need to keep the old blue jumper from the previous board and put it on the new board. If you forgot to do it, well, you will have a C5 error right when you will start the unit. Error code F1 to F5 are related to temperature sensor. So physically, the temperature sensor, if it's out of range, open, short circuit, you will have a F1 to F5 regarding what temperature, what probe is problematic. So we use three different kind of sensor. Um, Return air sensor and outdoor air sensor will use a 50 Kinghome sensor. The liquid pipe and on the evaporator tube, we're going to use a 20 kiloohm sensor. And the discharge sensor, it's the only one at 50 kiloohm. So when you look up the service manual, just make sure you will refer to the right chart when you check the resistance of the sensor. P5 is related also to an overcurrent protection of the compressor. So when a P5 appear, make sure you will check the resistance of your compressor winding and make sure they are not grounded. So basically what we want to do at that point, if a P5 appear, is to make sure we order the right part. Um, by checking the compressor, for example, checking the resistance directly on the winding of the compressor, that will tell you if your compressor is good or not. So basically, the resistance must be equal to each winding and also open to ground. So it's not have to do some resistance to the ground. If you have a bad compressor, because the resistance between each winding are not equal, for example, then from the Kinghome warranty, you will have a new unit. We will not stock compressor. We will not have you to change any kind of compressor or condenser if a major leaks is happening, but we will have a unit exchange right away. The thing is, we just want to make sure that you have checked if it's the board that is defective. If it's a PU error code, now it's related to the capacitor on the drive board. So basically, we will have to change the board. H6 is related to the fan motor, the indoor fan motor. So there's some troubleshooting that you can do also for that. We can check if we have a 50 volt on the PG terminal inside the directly on the board, saying that this is the feedback from the motor. So if we have the feedback from the motor and the motor is not running, or you still have this H6 error, well, that's mean the fan motor is defective. If we don't have the voltage, well, that's mean the indoor board is defective. So you can just turn the wheel of the motor, make sure the shaft is okay, and now order the new board. L3 is related to the outdoor DC fan motor. This motor is like like the inverter compressor. You can check the winding of each, the resistance of each winding, and also make sure it's not grounded. There's some code that are not error code but operation code. So if it's happened you to see E9 on the head and you asking why or looking at the error codes list what is a E9, so it's not a error code, it's an operation code. That's mean the system is now in cold air prevention protection. So basically this operation code will happen in heating. uh, well, the system is preventing to start the blower because the temperature of the inner coil is too cold. When the heating process needs to start, we need to reach at least 56 degrees Celsius at the indoor coil before the systems will throw some air, so some warm air across the room. So during that times, maybe you will see a E9 operation code happens on the head. E2 is antifreeze protection of the evaporator. So meaning that case we are in cooling mode, and for example, the filter is completely blocked and the head is sensing less than 32 degree Fahrenheit. Well, this E2 will appear telling the systems that we need to stop the compressor for at least 3 minutes, and also we will wait till the sensor located on the evaporator will read 35.6 before we can go in cooling mode again. So during that time, maybe you will see a E2. So this is a protection of the evaporator. FO is a recovery mode, refrigerant recovery mode that you guys can launch if you have a pump down to achieve. So the thing is, you have to use the remote controller, push a series of buttons on the remote controller to launch the FO process. This is something, well, if I'm just saying that out loud, it will make no sense. So, what I'm going to do is I will record some sort of small video, maybe like 3 minutes, 5 minutes for you guys directly on our website to explain to you and to show you how to do the process of getting this mode operational. So it's not available right now, but I'm working on it. So eventually, stay tuned, check the kinghomecanada.com. Make sure I will make sure those video will be posted very shortly. The last thing is the defrost mode. So in the heating mode, the systems will run into defrost regarding the outdoor temperature, the outdoor coil temperature. When this mode is active, you will see, or maybe the customer will notify that the heating icon, so the little sun, is flashing, but in a very slow flash, like one time every 10 seconds during all the defrost period. So the defrost time can be somewhere between 1 minute to 10 minutes. Most of the time it will be around 3 minutes. But during that time, uh, you can notify that the eating icon is flashing. So whichever you have a phone call by your customer saying, "Hey, I don't know why my son icon is flashing for 3-4 minutes, and I don't know why. Well, it's just because the system is now in defrost mode. Sometimes you might see H1. H1 is a second state of defrost. It's a fast defrost operation. So sometimes you can see H1 or just an eating icon flashing. We can take a look at an example here of those boards. So I have a picture of the outdoor board and a picture of the indoor board. Just to show you guys, when you look at this schematic, where is located the sensor. So for example, if you have F1, F2, F3, F4, F5 error code, they are related to sensor. So if one sensor goes bad because it's open, the wire has been cut, or it's out of range, well, when you will order that part, you can see here they comes all three together. So we will have to change all three sensors. Uh, on the E6 error, so basically what is really important to do is to check between terminal 1 and terminal 2 if you have your 56 volt DC. This is where you will look at it. And on the other side here, you see a picture of the jumper cap. So whenever you have to replace this indoor board, for example, you will need to keep this jumper cap with you till you install the new board and just plug it back. We have also on those indoor board a COM manual output. And this is related to an optional wire controller. So instead of just having the remote controller, if you want to install a wire controller on the wall for your client, you can go with the XK76 thermostat. This thermostat has been designed for Kinghome. This is the only one on the market who has the ability to do an interlock with a third-party heater. So we can take a look at this thermostat real quick. This thermostat here, so our wire controller XK76, has the same ability as the remote controller. You can control the unit, setting the fans, setting the temperature on off, the louver. You can adjust the louver directly on the this wire controller, and you still have a small window here. The round window is a infrared receiver for the remote controller. So for example, if you have a cassette unit and it's upping at the ceiling, but it's very the ceiling is very high, and you have this remote controller on the wall, you still can use your remote control pointing at this infrared here and change the temperature with your remote control. So having a closer look here with all the buttons. Well, the thing is, you might see there's two different arrangement for the louver. Uh, for the Charmo model, the M3 tier model, the vertical swing is not operational. We need to adjust it manually with your finger. But for the Polar and the Sapphire model, there's a louver motor for each of the louver. So one to control the horizontal louver, so there's multiple position, and one for the vertical louver. So whenever you click on the swing here to adjust the louver, you will see the E icon flashing. Then you will just push the arrow to switch to the other louver, and then you can do your selection. the thing that is pretty neat with this controller is this controller can help you to do a little bit more of troubleshooting well when you have some issue with the system. So basically, if you click on the menu button, you will have you can click on the search button, unit status, and then the systems will tell you what is the indoor temperatures sensor reading and also the outdoor temperature sensor reading. So you can know exactly what is going on, what temperature the unit is reading right now. If an error occurred during the time you are using the system, well, an error window will pop up, and then by clicking on search error information, you can now see what error code this error is related. It's also pretty much easy to do some programmation via this controller. And if it's installed for a commercial area, the lock screen here can be programmed also. So you can decide to lock the keypad totally, or you can just lock the fan speed or the set temperature or the mode, so anybody can play with it. So for a commercial application, for example, that can be great. And also the system is equipped with multiple functions that you can adjust directly from the thermostat. And the thing that was had for Kinghome now is the advanced configuration. So if you push the menu and the arrow down at the same time for 5 seconds, you will enter a new menu configuration. So now you can look upon the error history, what the last error or a list of the last error the unit as is in his memory. Also, you can change the address of the system in the case that you have multiple wire thermostat connected to a central controller. Now you can set up the address of each one. In the unit parameter, this is where it's the good stuff because on the search option, you just have access to the inner room temperature and the outdoor temperature. But now with the sensor information, you have access also to the evaporator temperature, the condensing liquid line temperature, and the discharge temperature. So with all those 5 sensors, you are able to understand what's going on with the system. So why the system is operate like this, because this is what the sensor is reading right now. So that can greatly help when it's time to troubleshoot the unit, for example. The last part is the debug set. So this is where you can change the ambient temperature location. For example, if you want to use the thermostat as the remote sensor, or you still want to use the return air sensor. This is mostly like when you have a ducted unit, for example. You can set up your fan speed, a couple of feature inside this debug set also. A temperature correction. So for example, if the room temperature is 21 and this controller is sensing 22, well, you can do a small offset of this sensor. And the fan speed mode, this is where for a ducted unit, for example, you need to have this controller with a ducted unit to adjust your ESP curve. So for a ducted unit, a ductless ducted unit, whenever you select your speed, your fan speed, well, depending on the ductwork with it, you might need to adjust your ESP curve also. So you need to have this thermostat to do it. The last part is the third-party heating set. This is what is unique to Kinghome, the Kinghome product, is, for example, if you have to do an installation, so basically you will run your 4 wires, counting the ground into it, so 4 wires to the indoor head, so L1, L2, S, and your ground. You have your COM manual here connection, so you will hook the wire, 55-foot long wire, to the controller hanging on the wall. Then from that controller, we have a relay. This relay, there's a logic behind this relay to be able to control another relay with a transformer. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff you guys need to bring on site with you. It's not something that's coming inside the box, but the logic here in the thermostat will control this relay. This relay will control a baseboard, for example. And so we have now the ability to interlock the eye wall unit with the baseboard. So basically what we want to avoid here is having in the same room 2 different thermostats, one only for the cooling, for example, and one only to control the baseboard. And so this one can go in cooling mode and the other one can go in heating mode, and you have both units running at the same time. So to avoid that, we have created only one thermostat to be able to control both systems. So the third-party logic, we have 3 options available. So we can decide our baseboard can work with the compressor, so simultaneously, or without. So we can cut off the compressor and only use the baseboard. The third option is the third-party heating only. So in a case that we have an emergency, so for example, the unit, the heat pump has a leak, doesn't perform anymore in heating mode, and the customer wants to use only his baseboard at that point, well, we can turn on the third-party heating only, and the thermostat will act like a normal thermostat, +1, -1, activate the cooling, close activate the heating baseboard, and shut it off. We also have the ability to adjust a balance point to switch between the heat pump and the auxiliary heat. Or we can adjust it on a time method, and we can adjust the time value from 15 to 25 minutes. So what really important here when you have done all your service portion on the systems, or brand new installation or replacement, whatever, it's always good to make sure you have a small checklist with you and make sure everything is installed correctly as per manual. You don't have any vibration or noise coming from the unit. You have performed a proper vacuum, so you avoid to have contamination or system blockage. Your insulation is sufficient, like make sure you don't have a gap in your insulation, so condensation can occur and have some water dripping. You have tested your drain well also. Make sure there's no remaining water into the drain pan. You have checked your power voltage when you have done all your tests. The wire gauge and the piping is installed as per manual. So that's really important to respect the manufacturer settings. The unit is properly grounded. You have checked your breaker size, so make sure that will not create some dysfunction or damage in a couple of years from now. You have no obstruction from your air inlet or air outlet. Your gas valve and liquid valve are open completely. And also the piping hole is properly covered. Back in the day when we used to do some service call, that's what like very happen every times or not every time, but very often. Like sometimes the installer. I'm doing like a virtual meeting. I'll home early today, but I gotta pick up. So sometimes the installer just forgot to insulate the hole properly and cover it properly. So in winter time, for example, we had a call saying that the system is overshooting in the room. So basically, the homeowner asking for 21, and it was always 24, 25 in that room. And so, looking at the system is performing well. We don't find out why the system was overshooting, and then we figured out it was because there's not enough insulation in the wall anymore. So we can feel that the cold temperature is flowing from the hole and have a some impedance on the return air sensor. So the return air sensor is always sensing that it was cold, so the unit is always overshooting to maintain the temperature in the room. So sometimes little stuff like that can bring some service calls. So you have to have an open mind, make sure you have checked everything to make sure everything is working properly. So that's it for this presentation. Now it's your time, guys. Whenever you have any questions regarding what we have seen, what we have saw, well, I'm here for you to answer all your questions. I put the 888 number for the tech support line. So we have a team based in Ontario to take your calls, or whatever you want to reach out to me, it will be possible also. I'm available to help you guys at any moment. So now it's your turn.
Looks like we have no questions.
Seems like we have no questions. So if something's pop up in your mind, you can always send an email. Please visit the kinghomecanada.com. You will find more information regarding the product, and all the manuals also are available on the website. So if you have any more questions, please reach out to us. So thank you, Ashley. Uh, Tomorrow we will have more trainings to do also. So I think if we don't have any more questions, that will be done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a nice rest of your day.